All right, my friends, we just pressed the Let's Go Live button over here, which means you know what we've got to do. Wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs before we go ahead and get started. We got to make sure those tubes are working, and it looks like our friends on Locals are joining us. Hello to YouTube. What's up, Telegram? Hello on Rumble. It's a beautiful day. It's working. That's tremendous. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney. And today we're talking about Judge Juan Merchan exploding at Robert Costello, Michael Cohen's ex-lawyer, in the courtroom, getting into it with everybody, including the prosecutor, Susan Hoffinger. But before we jump into today's testimony, which of course is day 20, we'll be checking in with inner city press reporting. We got to get our bearings straight on what happened yesterday, because there was a wild scene when the cross-examination started of Robert Costello. Remember this guy. The judge got the old side-eye from Robert, the former lawyer for Michael Cohen. When the judge sustained an objection, he said, "Jeez, what's wrong with you?" And he looks at him and boom, it set off a nuclear bomb in the courtroom. It's wild. So there's a portion of the transcript that has been released. We're going to read through it and see what is inside, because not only did Costello get castigated, but they also went after the press. They actually threw the press out of the courtroom. Alan Dershowitz, who's also on YouTube, he was in the courtroom reacting. I've never seen anything like this. The judge corralling the press, throwing them out on their butts into the hall. And I don't know if you saw a bunch of lefty journalists ranting about how this is an abridgment of freedom of the press or anything like that. I think they're just all kind of still reeling, like Jake Tapper is, from the testimony from Michael Cohen. But all that will bring us up to speed on the drama, the theatrics that happened yesterday. Before we jump into today's testimony, of course, Trump was out. He spoke this morning, and we'll listen to a bit of that before we jump into the transcripts, the excerpts from Inner City Press on trial day 20. A lot of reaction to this. The case is now done, other than closing arguments and deliberations. We're going to see that Donald Trump and his defense did not post a massive defense. They had a couple witnesses come out. Donald Trump did not testify. And there's another missing witness that people are wondering. Where's the FEC guy from the election committee? If he's going to come in and testify about the law, that would be very helpful for the Trump defense. But the judge basically limited what he could say. So he did not come and appear, but he did hop on X and he explained his position on this. He says, "My testimony has been restricted, so the judge is not calling me, but I still have a lot to say." So we'll see what he says. And then, of course, we'll see what Alina Habba had to say. Then in our second segment, once we're done with the testimony, both sides rested. Of course, the government is done. Today, the defense also rested. And so we're going to see what happened after that, because we jump right into jury instructions. And this is a little bit hard to follow because they're reading documents, literally, like they both have a copy of a big stack of papers, bunch of words on it. They have pen and paper and they're just redlining the materials. Page by page, delete this sentence, delete that sentence, add this word should not be here, move this section over here. So we're going to do our best to follow along and see what we can tease out of these jury instructions, but they'll be very important because they're going to answer a bunch of questions for us. Do the jurors have to agree on the object offense? Is it pick a crime, any crime, doesn't matter, where all of them can pick a different object offense that Trump intended to commit? We don't know. And what's the standard there? What are the definitions of the different rules? So we'll go into it. We'll see what we can parse through, and then we'll get some reaction. I got a couple of the lefties that we'll listen to. I know it's painful, but we'll see what Maddow had to say. She is, okay, we'll see how she's doing. Yeah. And then we'll see what Bill Maher had to say. They brought him on some news site, and he's complaining about, we almost had it. If we would have just indicted him sooner, maybe we could have gotten a conviction. So we'll get them out of the way. Then we'll cleanse the palate with some more sane people. We'll see what Matthew Whitaker, former acting AG has to say. This woman came out, was screaming about Marxism in our courts. Is outstanding, and she's screaming in Espanol, so we'll listen to that one. And then we've got Byron Donalds, who says this whole thing is a terrible misuse of justice. And so we've got a lot to get to today, as you can see, my friends. Very grateful and excited that you are here and with us. I know there's a ton of Florida news also that just dropped today. Apparently they went to go try to assassinate Trump. They're in there with instructions to shoot on sight or something. So we'll go through all that tomorrow. I know that Julie Kelly's doing some great work on that, and those filings are just coming out of the oven. So we'll make sure we come back on that tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed, my friends. This morning, we had a very, very nice guest appearance. As I said yesterday, your boy got invited to Davos in the desert. Had a great talk today about the Bragg prosecution. I consolidated like 60 slides in 45 minutes, and I was just racing. If you were on that scene with us, joining us over there, davosinthedesert.us, I was like scrambling. Next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide. I'm not used to having a time limit. So it was a lot of fun. Great presenters there. Robert Barnes was over there. John Eastman was over there. Some awesome people. So if you missed that, go check it out, davosinthedesert.us. Get Trump is the name of the event that we spoke at. We also posted the full event over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members. So if you missed it, then it's available to watch over there. And you don't have to be a member. You can just go over there and watch it. You don't have to pay for it. Just you can go watch it over there. We also posted it for our YouTube members as well. So if you want to check out what we talked about, it's available for a replay on Locals for free. You don't need to sign up. RobertGouveia.com is our website. PDFs. We have one PDF that we'll run through today. That will be up on the website after the show. And of course, watcherlodge.com. If you are absolutely interested in joining us in Vegas, man, it's like just over a month away, a month and 8 days away. Woo! All right, we're going to figure it out. It's going to be awesome at watcherlodge.com. Check it out. Trump Hotel, Las Vegas, June 29th, 2 days after the first debate. I can't wait to be live streaming from the Trump Hotel in Vegas during this election year. If you want to join us and you're serious about joining, come check out the details, watcherlodge.com. All right. Yeah, Merrick Garland authorizing lethal force to just go take out Trump. It's, wild times. So we'll get into that tomorrow, no doubt. But we're at the finish line on the Bragg prosecution. This will be the last serious day before we come back for closing arguments next week on Tuesday. And so let's get to it. Judge Juan the Con Mercon went nuclear in court. We know that Robert Costello, Michael Cohen's ex-lawyer, was on the stand testifying, and he was dropping bomb after bomb after bomb. Michael Cohen, we know, is a convicted liar. He's somebody who has admitted to stealing from the Trump organization, doesn't know what the heck's going on in his various phone calls, thinks he's talking about Stormy Daniels. Turns out it's like a 14-year-old prank caller. Very confused gentleman. He thinks he's going to be the attorney general. He thinks he might be the chief of staff. He's kind of whacked out of his mind. But what happened is he waived attorney-client privilege, and Robert Costello came out and was able to explain what a liar this guy is because he's got the emails, he's got the documents. So Robert Costello was on the stand, and we remember that we wrapped up the day with a direct examination from the Trump defense, and we started into the cross-examination, and things got wild. Now, we were just reading from the X scripts, but when we zoom in on this, we're going to see that things got spicy pretty quickly. So remember, this is on the direct exam of Robert Costello. Cross-examination starts today. We're going to get to cross-examination in a minute, but this is from yesterday. Here is how this exchange went. Robert Costello is on the stand. Defense attorney Emil Bove is asking questions. Costello says, yeah, I see that. He says, that? He says, what did you mean by that? Objection from the government, sustained from the court. Now, this is the moment where Costello turns to the judge, looks at him and says, jeez. Question, was that in response to something Michael Cohen had instructed you to do? Objection, sustained. Costello says, yes, strike it. Judge flips. Counsel, let's take a minute. Can the jury please step out? Clerk of the court says, all rise. Jury gets up and exits. Judge says, Mr. Costello, you remain seated, please. Costello standing up. Remain seated. You may be seated. He looks to everybody else. Now, Mr. Costello, I want to I would like to discuss proper decorum in my courtroom. Costello says, but I'm sorry, go ahead. I want to discuss proper decorum in my courtroom. Right? Okay. Okay, so when there is a witness on the stand, if you don't like my ruling, you don't say, geez, okay? And then you don't say, quote, strike it, because I'm the only one that can strike testimony in the courtroom. Do you understand that? I understand. Okay. And then if you don't like my ruling, you don't give me side eye and you don't roll your eyes. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? I understand that. I understand what you're saying. Okay. Thank you. Let's get the jury back. Are you staring me down right now? Judge has lost it. Costello's giving him the death stare. Huh? And the judge is furious. Are you staring me down right now? No. I'm just wondering how. Clear the courtroom, please. Clear the courtroom. Costello says, you want me to answer your question? Sergeant in the courtroom is now saying, sir, please, court officer. And shout out to this court reporter, okay, who's capturing all this in real time for us. This court reporter's like, it's going down. Multiple parties are talking. Check it. Says, sir, please, court officer, step outside. Please, step outside. And step to the side. Please. They're moving people out. Shuffling people out. Step out, please. Quiet, please. Step out, please. Get out, please. Probably a lot more shouting than that. This court reporter's just grabbing what she can. So a person in the audience, somebody else out there in the courtroom screams, Your Honor, Your Honor, may I object on behalf of the press? Your Honor, our lawyer is objecting. The press lawyer is objecting. We're from the press. We have a right to remain here. Court officer screaming at him, step out, step out, step out. Someone else in the audience chimes in. Why? This is an open courtroom. Step out, they scream. Any questions, any and all questions will be answered in the hallway. Someone else shouts, the press lawyer has a question. Court officer says, this is not an open forum. We will answer all questions in the hallway, so please step out. This is a Supreme Court courtroom, so step out. Someone else shouts back at him, this is an open courtroom. It is open to the people. It's open to the public. You can't throw us out. Our lawyer has a question, someone else shouts. This is a public forum. Why do we need to step out? Officer screams back at him, step out, please, step out. Where do you want us to go? We have a lawyer right here. Someone else shouts, I am the lawyer. I am the lawyer. Officer doesn't care. Keep going, please. Keep going. I want to answer all questions out in the hallway. I will answer everything in the hallway, but right now, everyone step out. Someone else shouts, we are guests. We're guests here. Why do we have to leave? Step out, everybody. Step out in the hallway. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Someone else shouts, will this be on the record so that we can at least read it afterwards? Step out, please. Step out. Please. Step out. Step out. Now, the court reporter is just stopping for a minute, says the courtroom is cleared of the people in the audience by the court officers at this time. The press also got thrown out on their butts like a bag of dirt. Court says, all right, now that the press is gone and we have this sole court reporter writing the record down, all right, says the judge, now let the record reflect that it's now 5 after 4. And let the record also reflect that the court officers had great difficulty clearing the courtroom because the courtroom is made up primarily of the press. And I can appreciate that the press wants to be present for every part of these proceedings. Therefore, this record is not sealed. And the press will have access to this record after he threw them out. So they can't report on anything other than what's in this written document. Isn't that nice? Now, the fact that I had to clear the courtroom like a little dictator who is silencing everything, he's not even posting the full court record on the docket, emails that he's exchanging and other materials that are critical to this case have never seen the light of day. So the fact that I had to clear the courtroom and that the court officers, including the captain, had great difficulty clearing the courtroom and that there was argument back and forth between the press, like they didn't obey, even though they did, and including counsel for the press goes to why I had to clear the courtroom in the first place. It's like he's suffering a little insurrection there. And he looks at Costello and he says, and that is, sir, your conduct is contemptuous right now. And I'm putting you on notice that your conduct is contemptuous. And if you try to stare me down one more time, I will remove you from the stand. And I will strike his entire testimony. Do you understand me? Mr. Bove, for Trump's defense, says, yes, Judge, I understand. Looking at Costello, the judge says, now you listen to the question and you answer the question. Costello says, can I say something, please? No, this is not a conversation. Okay. All right. Now, can we bring the press back in, please? Court officer says, ready, Your Honor? Yes, please. And the press is entering the courtroom. Now, the people in the audience return to the courtroom. Court officer says, same seat, folks. Same seat, folks. Same seat. They're all seated now. Let's get the jury, please, says the court. Jury entering, says the officer. All rise. Jury enters. Costello says, you don't want me to rise? He says, no, you don't rise. Okay. You may be seated. Clerk says, the case on trial is continued. All jurors are present and properly seated. The court turns to the defense. Mr. Bove. Thank you, Judge. They pick back up cross-examination. Continued cross. May I inquire? He says to the court, yes. And they jump back into the testimony. So the judge throws out the press because he is trying to, of course, craft a narrative and doesn't want the press to see what's happening there. So that was yesterday. Alan Dershowitz was inside the courtroom. Let's listen to his reaction to what happened before we jump into today's testimony. Here was this exchange.
Seen a spectacle like that. The judge absolutely imploded. He absolutely blew up when Costello dared to raise an eyebrow about some of his rulings. I raised my eyebrows. My eyes rolled. I stared him down. I've never heard so many erroneous rulings in such a brief period of time. And then you know, Cohen passed right by me. He brushed his leg next to mine.
Gross.
I was so close to him. Again, I've rarely seen so many lies. He swears under oath that he would not have accepted a pardon. He wouldn't have accepted a pardon. He had already told Costello he would do anything to avoid going to prison. Lie, cheat, steal, do anything. But he wouldn't have accepted a pardon from Donald Trump. That was such
total lies. Of course, he was there. Cohen was there. Their legs brushed by each other. Alan Dershowitz and others in the courtroom trying to make sense of the judge's little temper tantrum. But Trump came out. He spoke before today's testimony and the follow-up to that, because we're now going to have cross-examination of Robert Costello by the government. This clip comes from our friend Benny Johnson over there. You know where to follow him. And Trump came out to speak. Let's listen to what he said.
So the news of inflation is it really is rampant. It's moving at a level like people have not seen. They don't seem to be able to cut it down. Biden has no control over what's happening. He started it with energy, and now it's taken on a life of its own. It's very sad. We'll get it fixed. I'd like to be out campaigning right now, but again, I'm going to be in here almost 5 weeks in court. They have no case. There's no crime. Every single legal expert, and I can say this again and again, and every time they come out, maybe at some point they'll come out and say, oh, we found something. But every single legal expert, Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, Mark Levin, every one of them, Greg Jarrett, these are great talents. These are actually very brilliant guys, and they're not necessarily on my side historically over the years. But they're very talented people. They're legal scholars, highly respected. Every single person is saying there's no crime. There's no crime.
That's right. We're all saying that. We don't know what the potential crime could be. Is it pick a crime, any crime? We're going to get to jury instructions in our second segment and see what we're able to tease out of there. But let's jump into the trial. Now that we have our bearings straight, we see that Trump was there. Did you see that tie? Woo, man, looking good. Solid gold, baby. Solid gold. Looking sharp, Mr. President. All right, so we jump in to the testimony, courtesy of our friend Inner City Press. You know where to follow him, at Inner City Press. He's got stuff all over the place. Venmo, PayPal, Amazon. Check it out. Matthew Russell Lee on Amazon. Buy a book and support his work. Now, we're also reposting this if you're following along at home while we're live. We're inside the courtroom. Trump is here, blue tie. Tie of gold. Now, there's some GOP congresspeople in the row behind them. There's one Democratic congressperson back in the overflow. We're waiting for the court to get in session. Boom! The door bursts open. All rise. We stand up. The judge comes in. Please be seated. The clerk of the court announces this is the time set for the people of the state of New York versus Donald J. Trump. Parties announce. Good morning. Good morning. Judge kicks the day off. Says, all right, we have a witness on the stand here today. Good morning, parties. But I did get the submissions about the jury charge, the jury instructions. What are the rules the jury is going to review? It's helpful. And so I'll be reviewing those. And let's get the witness, please. Robert Costello comes back in. We picked up with him from yesterday's testimony. Mr. Costello, remind your Honor of the yes, okay. Now, before the jury comes in, someone asked the judge if he'll poll the jurors about their availability next Wednesday, the day after the closing arguments, to avoid more breaks. He says, I will. So, government prosecutor is up. Her name's Susan Hoffinger. We know who she is. She starts the day. We're on cross-examination. Robert Costello is the Trump defense witness. He's up. Michael Cohen's former lawyer. Question. Mr. Costello, I want to show you People's 512Q, Exhibit 512Q. You recognize this? He says, yeah. In this email, Michael Cohen wrote to you. He said, stop contacting him. Do you see that? Yeah. And you see the header is about accounts. Were you sending him bills? Costello says, well, I think that was the billing department. Probably. And did Rudy Giuliani go to your wedding? Yeah, he did. So they're trying to draw a connection. Remember, Costello was saying that Cohen asked him to go pursue a connection to Rudy. Costello said Cohen told him. Cohen says Costello put pressure on Cohen, that Rudy was using Costello as the liaison to get Trump's pressure onto Cohen to keep him quiet. So, Rudy went to your wedding. Oh, so you guys are friends. Maybe you are part of this conspiracy. And Robert, Mr. Costello, isn't it also true that you wrote to Jeffrey Citrone? Didn't you say to him that the reason for the Cohen to hire me would be my connection to Giuliani? Did you say that? So it sounds like we have an email from Robert Costello, the lawyer. Jeffrey Citrone is his business partner or law partner at the time. And they were exchanging emails. He says, well, I think Cohen should hire me because I've got a good connection to Giuliani. We've got a good relationship with him. That'll get us to the White House. That'll be good. Did you say that? Costello says, yeah, correct. I said that. But there are surrounding circumstances that I'd be delighted to explain to you. Government says, that's all right. No, thanks. Shh. We don't need your explanation. Government says, well, let me read another email to you there, Robert. You said in this email, you recognize it? Yeah. You said we must reverse the Avenatti effect from Bob. You wrote this, right? He says, yeah, I did. But that's because Michael Cohen was complaining incessantly. Wouldn't shut up. Okay, quiet. Now, as you said yesterday, Robert, you said the email speaks for itself, so I don't need your explanation. He said, well, sometimes it does. Sometimes you need an explanation. Okay. But you wrote in an email to your business partner, you wrote that you'd been played. Did you remember that? Well, I'd like to explain it. No. You felt you were played because you hadn't been paid, right? Well, do you want me to explain it? No, I don't. You thought Michael Cohen was also playing President Trump, didn't you, Robert? No, I don't think that's correct at all. Well, I want to show you People's 512H exhibit. This is your email to your partner, Citrone. Remember this? And you forwarded Mr. Cohen's text messages, and you said, he is slow playing us. You wrote that, didn't you? He is playing with the most powerful man on the planet. Did you write that? That speaks for itself, doesn't it? Yeah, it does, says Costello, yeah. Now, on May 15th, didn't you go to Congress about Michael Cohen? I was requested to testify. We covered that here. Excellent testimony. And when you went to testify to Congress, you'd agree that it was your attempt to intimidate Michael Cohen, wasn't it? Intimidate Michael Cohen? That's ridiculous. No further questions. The government walks away, and you can see what she was trying to do here is say, oh, okay, you said that to your business partner that Cohen's playing around with the most powerful man in the world. And so there is pressure coming from you. Like you're going to run this up the flagpole and Trump will be now bringing the hammer down on Michael Cohen. So no further questions from the government. We get a redirect from Emile Beauvais. Trump's defense attorney comes out. He says, hello again, Mr. Costello. Says, when Michael Cohen said that you never represented him, was that was false, he says. That was false. He says, thank you. I want to look at this exhibit that the government prosecutor Hoffinger put in yesterday. You remember this? Yeah. This is an email to your son? Yeah. You quote Michael Cohen back from April 2018. Do you remember that? Yeah. You said, Michael Cohen said, it will be an honor to have you on the team. Did Michael Cohen say that? He says, yeah, that's what he said. And then Cohen called you after that? Yeah. And you talked for 30 minutes? Yeah. Now, what did you mean when you wrote about being played, as the government brought up? He says, well, Jeff Cintron, my business partner, gave him the retainer agreement. Cohen put it in his briefcase and always evaded our questions about it. He claimed he was paying MWE, but he wasn't. So Cohen's stringing him along. They're doing all this legal work. I'll get it back to you. I'll get it back to you soon. Now, Mr. Costello, you wrote privileged and confidential in this document. You see that? Yes, I did. You also say attorney-client privilege, right? Privileged and confidential for attorney-client. Now, when you sent this to Michael Cohen, did Cohen tell you, no, you're not my lawyer? Did he tell you that? No, he didn't. So he impliedly accepted it, yes. Now, Cohen couldn't be surprised that you communicated with Rudy Giuliani, right? Why would he be surprised? No, of course not. He would not be surprised because Michael Cohen asked me to talk to him. So I was doing it on his behalf. Trump's attorney continues, Mr. Costello, who initiated the communications between you and Rudy Giuliani? Objection! Beyond the scope, Your Honor. We didn't ask about that on our cross. They walk up to the sidebar, Judge Mercan, listening to their arguments. Costello looks away from the bench. Judge says the objection is sustained. Don't ask that question. Beauvais says, fine. I now want to turn your attention to Government Exhibit 208. Page 2. Mr. Costello, you said that whether you communicate is up to you. Is that right? And every document we've looked at, you provided to these guys a year ago, didn't you? Yes. And you met on May 3rd, didn't you? Objection, beyond the scope, sustained. What was your purpose in subsequent meetings? Objection, sustained. And the prosecution has known of your relationship with Michael Cohen since last year. Objection, sustained. No further questions. We get a redirect, a recross from the government. Trump's defense attorney sits down. Susan stands back up. She says, Mr. Costello, did Michael Cohen ever sign the retainer? No. No further questions. Witness may be excused. Robert Costello steps down. Now, the government says, of course, they're done. Judge looks over to the defense. Anything further? Defense stands up and says, the defense rests. We're missing somebody. We're wondering where the FEC guy is. Of course, all the lefties are like, why isn't Trump testifying and all that stuff? But this case, I think, is their burden as the law dictates. They haven't met it. The defense rests. and we'll break it down. But the jurors are now excused. You are now off until next Tuesday. You may begin deliberating on Wednesday. And of course, we're going to be here covering that. Wednesday might be a long one. Might have to go past 4:30 to get both closing arguments in. Then it's off to the jurors. And so we've got reaction to this. Of course, a lot of thoughts on this. We have Turley, Alina Habba, and then I want to talk about this FEC witness. But before we do, of course, a reminder, be sure you're following Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, for reporting on the day. We're done with testimony. Both sides have now rested. Inner City Press brought us some great reporting on that. And so make sure you're following him. Links are in the description below. So some thoughts and reaction to this. Of course, we were never expecting Trump to testify. A lot of people were hinting at that. I think it'd be more political blood sport than anything. The left will use him not testifying as some sort of cudgel. If he was so strong and brave, he would testify. You're like, are you guys so dumb? Have you ever read the Constitution at all? It's in there in the Fifth Amendment. Just go read it. So he's not testifying. A good call. But one person who the judge is really precluding is this guy. And he's doing it, in my opinion, with a malicious purpose to confuse the jury, because this guy, if he was allowed to explain the truth, he would have explained the following to the jury, and this would have contributed to a potential acquittal. So this guy's name is Brad Smith, father, law professor, former FEC commissioner, chairman, Institute of Free Speech, and other things. Loves liberty, as do we. Here's what he wrote. All right, Judge Juan Merchan has so restricted my testimony, and he did, that the Trump defense has decided not to call me. Nothing they could do. Now, it's elementary that the judge instructs the jury on the law, so I understand his reluctance, but here's the problem. But a federal campaign election act is very complex. Even Antonin Scalia, Judge Scalia, rest in peace, he says a pretty smart guy, even if you hate him, the dude was brilliant, even if you didn't like him, once said, this campaign finance law is so intricate that I can't figure it out. He says, picture a jury in a product liability case, trying to figure out if a complex machine was negligently designed with all the tubes and things, based on a boilerplate recitation of the general definition of negligence. They'd be lost without knowing the technology or the industry terms. Now, someone has to bring that knowledge to the jury. That, not the law, was my intended testimony. For example, part of the government's case here is that they wrongly reported what they knew to be a campaign expenditure in order to hide the payment until after the election. But Cohen testified they just wanted to get past the election. So we're going to cover the reporting schedules, showing that even if they thought it was a campaign expenditure to be reported, an expenditure made on 10/27, when the money sent to Daniel's attorney would not, under the law, be reported until December 8th, a full 30 days after the election. So you wouldn't even report it anyways if you were categorizing it as a campaign expenditure. Now, but while the judge would not let me testify on the meaning of the law, he did allow Michael Cohen to go on at length about whether and how this activity violated the law. So Cohen can come out and opine, and he tells us the jury effectively got its instructions on the FECA from Michael Cohen. And now this guy is not being allowed to be called to explain the opposite. Says Judge Merchan has asked the sides to submit further instructions, and then I assume they'll argue it out. I'm not optimistic. We'll cover the instructions in the next segment. And we talk about this a lot. You make your money in the madness. You know, the gray area is where a lot of people do well. And the judge is going to leave that to the jury. Just let Michael Cohen say it was illegal. I took a guilty plea for this illegality. And so if I'm guilty, Trump's guilty by association. The guy who could come out and explain it precluded from doing so. So now, says Brad, you've got a judge who contributed to Trump's opponent, Joe Biden, presiding over a trial by a prosecutor who was elected on a promise to get Trump, Alvin Bragg, and others, for something the DOJ and the FEC chose not to prosecute on a far-fetched legal theory which the prosecution has been allowed to repeatedly misstate the law and to elicit incorrect statements of the law from witnesses. And unlike Cohen, my testimony would not have gone to the ultimate legal issue. He says the judge's bias is very evident. We concur. Why do pluralities of Americans see Biden as a greater threat to democracy than Trump? It's in part because of farces like this trial. So great comment. And yesterday, we talked about this case being over, you know, and I said it's over because Cohen stole everything and thought maybe that's a little bit overbroad. But even if Trump is convicted in this case, in fact, if he is convicted in this case, I think that the reaction will be just monstrous. People will be disgusted if he is ultimately convicted. So whether it's a hung jury or a guilty verdict, the legitimacy of this whole scandal, they've wrecked their own credibility. And so they're in big trouble. I think they're starting to recognize the effect of that. Here is a great clip from our friend Johnny Maga. He is sharing what Jonathan Turley had to say. Jonathan Turley, of course, also doing great work out there all on the platforms.
No, they're going to be under quite strong limitations. The jury probably does not know that they had this witness ready to testify on the election issues. The problem for the defense is that the judge curtailed his testimony so much that his testimony may actually reinforce the prosecutors, only in the sense that since he would not be able to explain that there's no election violation here, that he would just sort of reaffirm that this is a core issue in the case. What Smith was going to say is that there is no election violation, but the judge wouldn't let him go into those areas. Now, many judges would have taken that position of, I tell the jury what the law is. The problem is what the judge has done with the rest of the case. The reason this witness was needed is because this judge has allowed the jury to hear falsely that there were campaign violations, and there were not. And so I'm quite convinced that this jury thinks that there was a verified and established campaign violation committed and connected to Trump. That's just not the case.
Wow.
And we'll see how they address that on closing arguments and in jury instructions, of course, in our next segment. But before we get there, let's see what Alina Habba had to say about this. The defense rests their case. We have no more evidence being presented, and Alina Habba is in the house to tell us what she thinks.
Trump legal spokesperson, Alina Habba. I want to get your perspective watching this Adam show.
It's a Biden show trial, that's for sure. If you look at the audience that's sitting there, if you look at the lack of evidence, and you look at how they are literally floundering because they have no case and it's coming out. You know, there was something that occurred to me today, and I was speaking to some people, and I'm sitting there listening to this, and I think the American people need to remember something, Sean. We just wrapped up a fraud case with Letitia James about books and records, about statements of financial condition that were undervalued. And here we are, and they've taken the same issue and tried to stack a civil issue for $130,000 with 34 counts, what would normally be a misdemeanor, but excuse me, under Bragg, 51+% are dismissed and don't even get charged. And they're making it a federal crime because they're desperate. So let's not forget what this is. It's the same trial I just finished. It's the same state I just finished, and we got demolished by crooked judges. And this is what we're doing again. And it's desperate, and it's obvious. And the rulings today, Sean, as I spoke to you earlier on the radio, you know I was infuriated. To not allow an expert is a fatal error by the judge, in my opinion.
All right. So Alina Habba in the house, and it is going to be curious to see how the jury instructions look, because that will dictate what the jurors do. They got to follow the rules, follow the guidebook. So we'll go into that in our next segment. Of course, thank you for joining us on our channel, my friends. Would really appreciate it if you're not already subscribed, if you hit that subscribe button. We'd love it if you liked our video and really invited a friend or family member to come on over here and join us so that they can also see what's going on in this disgusting lawfare onslaught against Donald Trump. We'll be back here, of course. We'd love to see you here on the next one. All right, now we're not done yet. Stick around because we've got our whole next segment coming up where we're going to try to tease through these jury instructions now that we are done with testimony. Now we turn our attention to jury instructions. Trump battling not only the government prosecutors, but also Judge Juan Merchan. Of course, he has donated to Joe Biden, has a lot of pressure on the scales, pushing them towards his favorite outcome. But we need to decide what the jury will be reading when they're trying to make their decision. We go into testimony from Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee reporting, and we're back now for a charging conference. Jury instructions. And these can be a little bit hard to follow, so we'll do our best here. But what's happening in court is both sides have a big stack of paper, and they're literally going through line by line, turning the page. What's this paragraph say? Okay, accomplice liability. What does this say? Okay, what does the meaning of knowingly mean? Okay, over here. And page by page, what is a false business record? What is knowingly entering a record? What is manipulate? All the things. Definitions, crossing stuff out, moving stuff around. So we don't have the documents. Unfortunately, they didn't post those documents, so we can't read through them. Once they do post them, we will read through them. But this is what we're able to tease out from the testimony. Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee reporting. Links for him in the description below. We're back. Jury is gone. Testimony is over. What will the instructions be? Mercan says, well, I want to thank you for the submissions that I've received with your proposed instructions. Now, in the 4 transmittals, there were 6 joint submissions, and so I'm going through them right now. But let's hear some argument on what we want to go through. Where do we want to start? Trump's attorney says, Your Honor, the FECA predicate, if you're going to say that the object offense that Trump intended to commit, if you're going to say it was a federal election rule, it has to be a criminal federal election violation. It cannot be a civil violation, because if you violate civilly, you can also settle stuff civilly, you know, like Hillary Clinton did when she paid for the PP tape for Trump-Russia collusion nonsense. Didn't get charged with crimes. So you could settle it civilly, and they say, Your Honor, if you're going to make this a crime, its intent to commit another crime, it has to be a criminal federal election crime. And the government says, no, we oppose including any heightened intent standard. So we don't have to say it was a criminal violation or anything. Says the legislature chose the word unlawful and no more. So they're saying in this section, it should say criminal, not just unlawful. But you should tighten that up. Say it should say criminal so that they know it's got to be criminal. This is a criminal case, not a civil case. Like, how can you have intent to commit a civil violation and call that a crime? That's what they're asking for. But the government says, no, the statute only says unlawful, so we can just leave unlawful there. But Your Honor, says the defense, the case the people cite is a civil case. It's not even a criminal case. So it needs to be criminal. You can't just parlay this off onto a civil offense. The judge says, well, falsifying business records in the first degree requires another crime, is what it says to the prosecutor. Well, how do you respond to that? Well, they say conspiracy is enough, and we've made the allegation that there is a conspiracy. So that's it. One crime, conspiracy. Doesn't even have to be another crime. Okay, conspiracy to do something else. Well, Beauvais says, yeah, but there has to be a criminal object of the conspiracy. You can't just have a conspiracy to do what? To commit a crime. Not just a conspiracy to, sit out and drink lemonade on your front porch or something. It's got to have a criminal object of the conspiracy, says the defense. So that's why the federal election has to be a federal crime. You can't turn it into a criminal. The judge says, well, I'll reserve a decision on that, but I will strike the defense's language about in a 2016, a candidate could give as much as he or she wanted. Says, I don't think that's relevant to what we have here. Some language from the defense they're proposing. Trump's allowed to give as much money as he wants. He can donate 130,000, 150,000, 200 million, whatever. Defense says, well, these are issues that we would have gotten into if we would have been allowed to call our witness, Smith, but you didn't allow us to do that, Your Honor, so we can't get into that. So we should have that in the instructions since we couldn't call it out. We're back at the defense table. Trump's defense attorney, Emil Beauvais, is in the lead counsel seat. Todd Blanche is next to him. Trump is in between Blanche and Susan Nicholas. Judge Mercan says, all right, next item. Says, it is proposed here that, quote, if the payment would have been made even in the absence of candidacy, it is not a contribution. So if Trump would have done this when he was not running for office, for example, to protect his reputation or to avoid Melania finding out, then that's not a contribution. But by converse, you can also make the argument that Stormy Daniels would have never even brought this claim if he was not running for president. Only reason this came up is because of the fact that he was running for president. But that's from her, right? She just saw an opportunity. She was trying to grift off a campaign. She makes up a fake claim. it's now or never. He has to settle this or else. But my point is, Trump has other interests at play. So they're talking about that rule. The judge says, well, let me strike the phrase legitimate press function. So he says, I don't want the jurors to think that the AMI was acting out of a legitimate press function. We're not enabling, we're not endorsing what the National Enquirer was doing with this so-called catch and kill scam. Well, what about this? The government says the FEC found that AMI acted outside that exemption. And so that's why AMI had to settle with the FEC. Defense says, Your Honor, AMI had a large transaction in escrow. And so they were literally transacting. And so they settled that. And they did things for Karen McDougal in result of that. So that was a whole separate issue. They move on. Government says, Your Honor, you've already instructed the jury about Mr. Cohen's guilty plea. You can do it again. And we'd like to use the word participate. So Cohen participated in this offense. He was not convicted of this offense. Well, it says if the defense crosses the line in summation, then I can give that instruction. So if they hit Michael Cohen's guilty plea too hard and they say it was for something that it wasn't, or if they cross the line, then I'll give you your instruction. But if not, then I'll keep it as it is. And the judge continues. He says, well, I appreciate the defense's argument. I'm going to follow the pattern instructions. And what's so curious about this case is this is new and novel. Pattern instructions are like templates. Somebody gets charged with a DUI. There are DUI jury instructions, and they're big jury instructions. What does actual physical control mean? In Arizona, we have different instructions. You just copy and paste it. If you have a problem with it, that's specific to your case, then you can make those debates, make those arguments. But we know how they work. We know what a DUI is. We know what the blood alcohol content needs to be. We know how the process works. We don't need to reinvent jury instructions because we're not misapplying law to crimes. But in this case, this is new and novel. They are bootstrapping a felony charge off of some unknown crime. And so we don't really know how they're getting here. And so the judge is just saying, I'm just going to follow the regular pattern instructions. So it's not going to be specific to this pretzel type of prosecution. But the defense says, Your Honor, this is crazy. There is a problem with two-step accessorial liability. It's causing a causer to cause. You cause a causer to cause. It's circular. We can't do that. Someone's an accessory to an accessory and the accessory caused the thing? What? The government says, no, Your Honor. There's a case where jumper cable caused false business records at a power company. The judge says, well, in the submission I received at 1:02 p.m., it is proposed that presence while others commit a crime does not itself mean a crime. So if you're just standing there and someone else does a crime, doesn't mean you're a part of the crime necessarily. So what about this Trump Tower meeting? The government says, well, the Trump Tower meeting shows more than just mere presence. Trump wasn't just there. It shows participation because Stormy Daniels went to Trump Tower. Trump says, no, we disagree. Okay, campaigns have done this for decades. People meet all the time. And this is an important case, Your Honor. We have a motion pending. This case attempts to use statutes in ways for which there is no precedent. So you can't just use the standard template instructions here. So we think the jury should make specific findings of fact on all of these little points so that they can make and show us how they're connecting the dots. The judge says, well, I'm not going to change the law. I mean, the law is written how it is, so I'm not going to make them change this. The judge says, this is getting tiring. Let's take a break. They do. And of course, we come back. Now they come back. Judge says, all right, I've looked everything over. That's pretty much what I had. Is there anything else here that we need to put in these instructions? Says, yeah, from Trump's defense. Yes, Your Honor. We suggest an instruction on bias against Donald Trump. We should tell them that they may have an opinion against Donald Trump, but they should not let their bias impact this case. The government says, Your Honor, no. We don't think that's necessary at all. Okay, the voir dire jury selection, they got asked about this when we picked them. And so we satisfied that, or at least look at our page 17 through 18. We think that's sufficient. The judge says, that's fine. Yeah, I'm going to go along with the government language. We're not changing it. Sorry, defense. Defense says, well, Your Honor, the jurors should also be told that hush money is not itself illegal. You should tell them that because they might think that it is. The judge says, well, I mean, I don't need to tell them that. You can just make that argument in closing. So everybody else can imply that it's illegal. The judge could say it's not. He's not going to do that. You tell him. Your Honor, but evidence not coming in for truth, we want to list them and make a note to the jurors so they know this is not coming in for the truth. For example, we want to tell the jurors that the RNC's reaction to the Access Hollywood tape is not coming in for the truth of the matter asserted here. The government says, no, Your Honor, we don't need those instructions. It's the impact on the defendant of John McCain withdrawing his endorsement. So there's no instruction on that. The judge says, yeah, I totally agree with the people. Great job. Emil Bove continues. Your Honor, we'd also like an involvement of counsel instruction. When President Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, told him that the lawyers of AMI, when they said that Karen McDougal's contract was bulletproof, we think that they should know that. He says, no way, this court will not say that. And the defense won't say that either during closing arguments. And I find that argument disingenuous, Mr. Bove. Sit down. Trump's lawyer says, what? You called me disingenuous? I'm trying to make an argument, Judge. Judge says, I've heard it for months, and you will not make that argument to the jury. So sit down, Emil. And that's it for us today. And so keep me informed of any other changes by email. Closing arguments are on Tuesday. Trial is adjourned. That's the end of the jury instruction testimony today. Brought to us, of course, by Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press Reporting. You know where to follow him on Substack, on Patreon, on PayPal, on Venmo. Send him a nice Venmo for doing this great reporting. But we've got jury instructions. This is such a tease. We want to see what they actually look like. And the judge probably will not have those for us until, honestly, next week, probably Tuesday. So we'll continue to cover this, my friends. Lots of reaction. I want to take us through a couple of these lefties just so we can see what they're talking about. And then we'll cleanse the palate with some good reaction from our friends Whitaker, Byron Donalds, and others. But here is Rachel Maddow. Man, she's looking rough out there. So that's what happens when the dark side gets a hold of your soul. But here she is kind of saying this is not that big of a deal, that it's kind of, uninteresting, sprawling, not a big deal to hear Michael Cohen lying on the stand or saying he stole from the Trump organization or anything. Here's kind of looks like Michael Cohen, but it's not. It's Rachel Maddow. We'll listen about 40 seconds and then we'll just carry on.
And it is thus far a splatter painting of stuff that does not connect or tell a narrative. And they don't need to tell a narrative.
Job.
They don't need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt any counter explanation for the events that are at issue in this case. They just need to poke holes in the prosecution's case. Yeah. But they do need to hold the jury's interest and seem like they are taking up the jury's time for a reason. And there are very few moments at which I think Todd Blanche in this defense is saying a thing that seems to mean a thing to this jury. He may do the world's greatest, or the defense team may do the world's greatest summation that brings it all together in some way that's unforeseeable from this point. What? But in the moment, it is discursive, sprawling, and uninteresting.
Wow, what great words there. Great words. $3 words from Rachel Maddow, stringing them together. It's like that attorney from Seinfeld. Amazing. So she is talking about discursive arguments, I guess, from the defense. Did she pay attention to the prosecution at all? We don't even know what the crime is. They are still figuring that out. So it is curious to see what she says. They also dragged out Bill Maher. I guess he left HBO for 2 minutes, and he came on with CNN. And listen to these two lecturing each other, opining, whining, really, about why the Democrats didn't launch this onslaught much more quickly so that it could actually have a possibility of taking out Trump. Listen to these two.
Can you believe that this is it seems like it's going to be the only trial that will go before the election?
Oh, no.
Well, I've been moaning and railing about that on my show because I tore Merrick Garland a new one a couple of weeks ago because I think the Democrats blew it, as they always do with this kind of stuff, because They've had 4 years. What was all the delay about? Why are we coming to the end?
To time it for the election, dummy. Hello.
Of course they're going to try to run out the clock, and they did.
Can you believe that this?
Yeah, to time it for the election. They just botched it. They're just not that good of lawyers. And honestly, there's no crime, Bill. So they're having a difficult time. They forgot about things like presidential immunity. They just got in over their skis thinking that as long as they go after Trump, the criminality will manifest itself and they'll be successful in their efforts. So we got through those two. Whew, we made it. Now let's see what some other more intelligent people have to say. Here is Matthew Whitaker, former acting attorney general for the United States, telling us what he thinks about this case.
I think the jury has looked at specifically that story that he made up on direct examination, that this call happened. And then Todd Blanche did such a masterful job just dismantling that there was any way that call could have happened. Because to your point, he had texted with Keith Schiller, who was President Trump's security guy, and said, I have a 14-year-old who's prank calling me. Let's have a call about that. The call lasted about a minute and a half. And I think Todd Blanche did an excellent job saying you could not have discussed the prank calls and then handed the phone to President Trump and discussed the details of this, what you're alleging happened. And it was just, I think, so masterful. And there's been several other places where this jury has no way they can believe what Michael Cohen's saying today is what happened. Because, again, he's making it up. He's a certified Trump hater. He wants the president to be convicted. And this is the sad thing. I think this has done lasting damage to our American system of justice. If Alvin Bragg 100%. And the Manhattan DA's office are going to bring this week of a case that depended on someone as flimsy and as untrustworthy as Michael Cohen, this is just not how it's supposed to work. As a former U.S. attorney and a former prosecutor, I can tell you bring cases that are rock solid, that are through the traditional grooves of prosecuting cases. You don't do weak cases like this depending on liars.
You do if you have no other option. And remember, this was the worst of their cases. In fact, they had to leapfrog the other cases. This wasn't even scheduled until the J6 case got put on hold, until Fannie got caught with Nathan's hot dog, and until the Florida case got discovered that they're apparently authorizing assassination attempts of Trump when they raid Mar-a-Lago with license to kill. So we've got now Whitaker responding to this. This woman was out, and I don't think I caught her name. Let's see if it is here for us. Yes, Elvira Salazar, Congresswoman. She is from South Florida, and she was out here today explaining in Espanol what the heck this is, which of course is Marxism in America.
I will get
Thank you.
En español, dime. En español, yes. Lo que
Thank
acabo de
you.
decir es que esto es un circo.
This is a political circus.
We are the largest minority in the country. The Hispanics. Los hispanos somos la minoría más importante en los Estados Unidos.
The most important minority.
Esto es un circo político que solamente se ve en
This is a
Cuba,
political
en
circus.
Venezuela y en Nicaragua.
Only seen in
Es una
Cuba and Venezuela.
Que nosotros, independientemente de lo que usted piensa de Trump, si le gusta Trump, si no le gusta Trump, lo que piense de él,
whatever you think of him.
En este país no se logra una lucha política en las cortes, se logra en el ballot box, en las urnas. Y por eso le estoy diciendo a los hispanos, wake up, despiértense, que lo que está pasando es marxismo.
What's happening is Marxism.
A este país para no tener esto, sino para que el futuro de nuestros hijos sea un español.
Yes! All right, Elvira in the house. Get it. Love that one. All right, so we got Maria Elvira Salazar dropping it and lecturing the press about what is coming to America, but they're communists, so they're okay with more Marxism. And now to wrap it up, my friends, we got Byron Donalds in the house explaining what his take is on this political weaponized prosecution.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So, Congressman, you were in the room.
Great to see you.
Real. First of all, you're in a criminal courtroom with the former president. That's surreal enough. That's never happened in American history. And then you actually hear the evidence brought by the prosecution. You quickly realize there's no case here. There's really no evidence here. And the prosecution's, Alvin Bragg's, his entire case relies on the words of Michael Cohen. This thing is so ridiculous. But then you look at the judge, and the judge, has donated to Joe Biden, something that the vast majority of judges do not make political contributions. This judge has, he has contributed to Joe Biden. His daughter works for the Democrats, raising money and they're using the trial as a basis to raise money for Democrats across the country.
Yeah.
This is a terrible case, number one, but it's also a terrible misuse of the justice system. The judge should throw this case out. There simply is no case.
Do you have a feel for where the jury is on this whole thing based on seeing it all play out firsthand?
I don't really know per se, but I will tell you there's probably one, maybe two jurors on there that when Michael Cohen was getting cross-examined and his lies were beginning to be unraveled, you had a couple jurors make faces, like their body language looked a little interesting. Like they were questioning, why are we even here? And so, my hope is that you have one or two jurors who does the right thing, who realizes that there's no crime here. This is all election interference. This is a political hit job brought to us by Joe Biden, Alvin Bragg, and this crazy judge, Judge Merchan in New York.
And Matthew Colangelo and the Democrats. It's all being funded by them. Millions of dollars going over to Cohen. And Cohen just continues to lie for them. So we've got jury instructions. As soon as we get those written down and out, we will be reviewing those so that we can parse through this. We have a ton of open questions. What do certain definitions mean? Do the jurors have the capability to just pick their own offense? Do they all have to agree on an offense? What are the standards? So we'll be covering this and more. We're also covering Florida case, Fannie's case, and the rest of them. So thank you for subscribing, my friends, wherever it is you're watching this. We appreciate you liking this video. Thank you so much for inviting a friend or family member to come over to our channel and check it out. We also have an amazing members-only community, whether you join us on Locals or join us on YouTube. We do members-only stream in the mornings. We'd love to have you join us watching thewatchers.locals.com. Links in the description below. We'll see you over there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us today. A little bit of a shorter day in trial, but we got two good segments out of that one. And as you can see, it is a spicy day there. This ordeal of throwing the press out, I guess the press like to be abused. They're probably all sitting at home like, oh, that was just a wild experience, but we have to accept that abuse in order to save democracy or something. Weird people. But now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. Let's see what you say about this. We are nearing the finish line on the day, and we're grateful for your support. Look at this. We got Bodie is over on Locals sending in some love. What's up, Bodie? Says, hey, great job on the presentation today. Thank you, Bodie. Thank you. I had fun. It was a lot of fun, a little different. And I actually learned a lot. I mean, there were some great speakers there today. So, wow. Really detailed stuff. Like, hey, you should start a YouTube channel, dude. All right. What's up, Bodie? Hey, what's up, Tanya? Hey, it's Taco Tuesday. Hey, what's up, Tanya? Woohoo. Nice donut, Tanya. Thank you. Says, woohoo. Happy Taco Tuesday. Oh, just here trying to avoid tornadoes over here. Food will be late tonight. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we've had some weather outages. Our friend Knox in Texas also, surviving a hurricane in Houston, and Tanya's dealing with tornadoes. It's hard to eat a taco when you have a tornado happening. Tacos, a burrito might be better than a taco. The wind might blow the taco filling out. But if you put it in a burrito, it might be safer. All right. Thank you, Tanya. It's a beautiful day. Thanks for the dono. Hey, Catherine Rex. Oh, look at this. Catherine Rex. Stitch is out. Splint is off, but now I'm in a boot. I hate yachts and deckhands that throw the boat safety manual off the aft deck. Oh, man. Deckhands. Sometimes they can just be a real pain in the butt, I guess. I don't even know what a deckhand is. I really have no boat experience because I live in Arizona. But Catherine, you're going to be tap dancing in no time. You're just going to be doing the Irish jig out there in no time. You'll be back on your feet immediately. Hey, it's the Munkets is here. What's up, Tony? Hey, Munkets. Bringing in some new membos. Backseat D's coming in. We got Michelle M, Glowin C, Scott M, and Rebecca J, all in the house, courtesy of Tony Hey Munkets. Hey, it's the Munkets. Hey, Catherine Rex is here. Bringing in 5 more membos. Welcome aboard, Mike P, Bill L. We got Isaac Space Jesus is here. Wow. Valerie H. Michael O. in the house, courtesy of Catherine Rex. Good to see you, Catherine. Thanks for bringing in new membos. Hey, Meemaw's here. 4 months as a membo. What's up, Meemaw? Thanks, Rob. You're the best. Good to see you. That is almost halfway to a full baby there. What's up, Meemaw? Thank you. I think you're the best. Thanks for being a great membo. Here's one from this old guy on Locals. Thank you for this one, this old guy. Nice dono. Says, John Eastman was outstanding at Davos in the desert. Sharp dude. I was able to watch right up until time to come here. Your presentation was equally outstanding, and it was smooth and enjoyable. I never would have known that you felt rushed getting through all that info. Great job, Mr. Govea. Well, thank you, this old guy. We had fun. Yeah, I was really sort of accelerating. I looked at the clock about 20 minutes in. I'm like, I better go faster. Going faster. So it was good. It's good. It's good for me. Sometimes, here I get a little loose, like whatever. We got plenty of time. But it was good. It was fun. It's good. Sometimes I can get a little bit too blabby, like I am right now with this comment. See? Should have had a time limit on this comment so I'm not rambling on. Okay, thank you. Hold my halo. What's up? Coming in as a gifting new membos. Caldy gifted a membo courtesy of Hold My Halo. Halo, thank you for being a membo and for bringing in new membos. Hey, Beth, what's up? Membo for 2 months. First month's the hardest. Rob, you're the best informative lead watcher. Thank you. Well, Beth, yeah, I don't know about that. Best, I don't know. I'm just your humble X-script reader trying to hold on for dear life as we navigate this wild time. We're glad to have you, Beth. Thanks for being here and for the nice compliment. What's up, Confused Abyssinian Cat is here. Confused Abyssinian Cat with a nice dono. Hopefully you get some clarity on your life's purpose. We have this one from JPB and AZ. Rob, great job on the Davos talk today. Thank you, JPB. We'll watch your video later as Barnes is up next. Given the title, sure, it will be exciting. Thank you. Yeah, Barnes was there. A lot of great people were there. I saw a guy, Charles, I don't know how to say his last name, Charles Chizensky, something like that. And it was really, really good about the Letish James case. So smart people there, man. Hey, it's the Munkets bringing in more membos. We got Wheezy Bob is here, Ralph L, Captain S, Myra P, Patricia W, all gifted membos in the house. John McGarvey's here. Hey, great job at Davos, Rob. Thank you, John. 22 months as a membo, John. Woo, that's 2 babies and then some. And look who's back. It's Zulu in the house. What's up, Zulu? Long time no see. 3 babies, all Democrat. And, most kids come out Democrat. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was like, what's up? I was like 6 years old. I was like, why is the world so filled with inequality? I was like, oh, gosh, what an idiot. Then I grew up. So they'll become Republicans. They'll get intelligence. You're a smart guy, Zulu. So they'll come around. But we got 3 babies, so it'll take some time, but we're looking forward to it. Hope you're well. Welcome back, Zulu. Good to see you again. And thanks for the new babies. Hey, Tyler P. What's up? Keep up the great work, Rob. Thank you for that, Tyler P. Membo for 4 months. 4 months as a membo. We're almost at that halfway mark. Thank you, Tyler, for being a membo for so long. We'll see you on the membo-only streams. We got this one from Knox. Oh my gosh, we're making some progress. Happy Taco Tuesday, all. Electric is back on, but the internet is still down. Hope everyone is doing well. Knox, it's been crazy. Knox was here yesterday, no internet. She was hanging up sheets like the Arizona swamp cooler effort. Wet a sheet, hang it up in the windows. The breeze comes through. It's like a swamp cooler. But in Houston, man, it's getting warm out. So Knox, glad to hear it. Glad you're doing well. Thanks for swinging by and saying hello, even without the internet. How are you here? Are you using your telepathy? What's up, BH Williams? MWE? Yeah, I don't know what that was referencing. I remember that. What was the context of that? Cohen will pay something NWE. Maybe something when earned. Something pursuant to a retainer agreement. I don't know what it was. Good question. I don't remember. What's up? Chubby's here. I like that Brad Smith dude. I think we could be friends. Not like BFFs or anything, or hanging at each other's houses or anything on camping trips or anything. More like, hang out at the bar, drink a couple brewskis, chit-chatting about little things, okay? Not weird, just like normal bro stuff. So, just saying. Brad Smith, if you want to hang out and have a couple brewskis with our friend Chubby, he's down for it, but not getting weird. Hey, what's up, Milo Phone Bill? Hey, yeah, hey, the Get Trump Bragg prosecution presentation was excellent. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, we filled it out. We added in some new stuff from the trial. I thought it went pretty well, actually. It's free. If you want to go watch it, just go check out watchingthewatchers.locals.com or become a member on the YouTubes. And I suppose I could publish it also. What's up? This is what it looked like. We were going through all the documents. Good stuff. Thank you, Milo Phone Bill. Thanks for joining us and checking it out. Knox is here. You know what type of people get furious and desperate? Criminals. I know. They are my beloved clients. Yeah, and I've represented a lot of alleged criminals too. A lot of them. Alleged. What's up? Milo Phone Bill says Robert Costello, the best witness that was not even allowed to testify. He was pretty epic, I got to say. Jeez. And then he stares down the judge, giving him the old, huh? Oh, like they're going to go blows? All right, stand up. Stand up, judge. Take off your robe. Stand up. You know, pretty good. Hey, Knox is here, sharing a great interview. I thought I would hate this guy as I'm kind of anti-mercenary, but I did not, and I appreciated the honesty that was displayed. Here's this one from Tucker. Ooh, it looks like a good one. Yeah, Tucker's doing these interviews from his kitchen now. I saw that. He did that with David Smith, which was a great interview. And shout out to David. But this was a lot of fun. He's in his kitchen now doing these interviews. Very interesting scenery. Looks great. Eric Prince. CIA corruption, killer drones, government surveillance. Oh, it's right up my alley. Sounds great. Chubby's here. I fixed it for Mercon. Quote, I'm not going to change the law any more than I already have and give the defense a hand. Not going to do it. From Chubby. Good to see you. Yeah, that sounds about right. You corrected the instructions for the judge. Thank you, Chubby. Oh my goodness. Look at this one. Oh, whoa. John McGarvey in the house. Woo. We got 50 membos coming in courtesy of John McGarvey. John, what a generous man you are. Outstanding, my friends. Big ups for our friend John McGarvey. We got 50 names to hit through. Let's give big welcomes to all of them. Coming in courtesy of John. Woo! We got Maine Smith is here. Jeshua G. Paul W. Donald F. Truth Seeker. Granny Gear. Cheryl P. Mike Sue. Angelia Green's in the house. We got no mandates. Not a Fed. Golden Gaming, what's up? Albert W. We got Chris C. Simon C's here. Ulsterman. Boiler Operators coming in. Squatch Girl. Just joining us. Rodney's here. We got LTC Vet. Jim G. Piper Lynn. Not Too Crazy. Alan H. Philip H. Chris J. The Conservative Life is coming in. Papa Joe. Timmy W's here. Heh is in the house. William L. Sean L. Philippa C. Jacob A. We got Chinny Win. We have Giovannia in the house. We got Patricia P. Father M. Clyde B. Eric L. Mary Me. CM. Knittin' Kitten. Leon Lately. Joshua G. Supa Spy Girl. Jolene J. Red Blooded. Barb Wood. Laura C. I can't even read. There's so many names. Moo Gaming and Great Plains Bass Angler. All in the house. Woo! Courtesy of John McGarvey. John, super generous of you, my man. Very generous dono. We love all the green names in the chat. Your boy can't even read them all. That's how many there are. Thank you, John. Super generous, my man. I appreciate it. New friends, welcome aboard. John McGarvey brought you in, and we're grateful to have you. Thanks again, John. Super cool. What's up? Don G in the house, bringing in another membo. SB is coming in, courtesy of Don. Thank you, Don, and welcome aboard, SB. Hey, Tony Hey Munkett says, if we're going to get any bigger, we're going to have you read the chat comments, too. If we get any bigger, we're going to have you read the chat comments, too. That's a lot. We'll be here for a long time. But we got great comments, so we got to read them. What's up? Sheila P. Good to have you. We got 10 membos coming in. Swamp S is here. Nathan H. Sheila P's bringing in Spacey 11. Covenant Zogirl. We got Warren H. Belinda G. Copious Cookies is here. Sounds delicious. Ed W. Taffy S. Frazzle says. And others coming in courtesy of Sheila P. Thanks, Sheila, for bringing in new membos. Again, we'll see you in the morning for our members only morning stream. Welcome aboard. What's up? Brian R. says, hey, 1 year anniversary for Brian. Amazing, Brian. Thanks for being a membo for a full year. It's been a heck of a year. End democracy, restore the republic. 1 year from Brian. Yeah, well, yeah, they've transmogrified our country into a so-called democracy. And their fictional label does need to end. Mexican Marauders in the house. Membo for 5 months, over halfway there, says crooked Colombian will override the jury if not guilty. He can't really do that. If they come out with an acquittal, he can't, well, I'm going to take that away from you. That's something that they could do. he could take it away from the prosecutor. He could say, okay, directed verdict, judgment of acquittal. There's not enough here. He's not going to do that, but he can't reverse that, fortunately for us. But but he's doing everything else other than that he can. So I understand your trajectory on this comment, Mexican. Great comment. What's up? Andres is here. How much merch can a Mercon merch if a Mercon can steal merch? That's a great question. Well, if he's working with Michael Cohen, they probably could steal an election. That's what they're trying to do right now. Steal the election. What's up? Andres over on the Rumble says they got in over the tips of the skis, baby. Love it. Yeah, they thought that they could just manufacture this out of thin air. And it's not working out so well for them. All their cases are crumbling apart. Tony Hay Muckets bringing in new membos. What's up? We got 5 new membos here. We got Juliet B. Cloud99's here, Hell Warden is here, and Merkco, all coming in courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets in the house. Jennifer, what's up? Says Don Goff in your chat thinks you should do audio work for audiobooks, and I concur. Thanks for your hard work, Robert. We all appreciate you. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to even, write a book. I wrote a book a long time ago, and it was a fun experience. It was kind of a fun experience. When I was at my law firm, I wrote a book called Beginning to Winning, under my old last name. It was a lot of fun, but we'll do that again, probably very soon. I got ideas for it. I think I could do a fun audiobook. I think I'd have fun doing it because, I'm like that. What's up? Unwoke thoughts, predictions. I'm going with a hung jury. I think there'll be 1 or 2 that hang. It would be so nice. You're right. Charlie Wolf Reed. It would be nice. The jury has a hung jury. It would be very nice. The next question would be whether they try to retry him before the election. They just reschedule it before the election. Could you imagine? We do this again? Oh my gosh. Joshua P, what's up? Membo, 9 months, a new baby in the house. Welcome aboard. He's going to be a soccer player, we can tell. Good to see you, Joshua P. Thanks for being a membo for so long. 9 months, my man. New baby in the house. Knox Bierman says we're using a hotspot to connect. Well, we're glad you're using that, Knox. It's precious bandwidth on those. So the fact that you're willing to share your hotspot bandwidth for this show is just an honor. Glad to have you, Knox. Hopefully the internet comes on soon. What's up, Cliff? Says the brain does not fully develop until age 28 or 25, or in my case, 45. Judgment is the last function to develop. Hence, young Democrats. Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of just ripped on myself there, but you're right. You're right. When I was younger, I was like, why does Bill Gates have $50 billion? And I still have problems with Bill Gates, I guess. But my problem back then when I was like 8 years old was like, it felt like, things should be more equal, more. I was kind of like a little communist, honestly, when I was 6 or 8. I kind of remember. Then I grew up and I think I got my first paycheck and I'm like, what? What the heck is this? But you grow up, we all grow up and we keep maturing. A lot of work to do. What's up, D. London? What kind of comeback does a defense have on a corrupt judge? Well, appeal, ultimately. I mean, what we're seeing here, Trump is going to appeal if he loses. He's already tried a bunch of different things. Motions for recusal. He's already appealed multiple times. So after the conviction or after in my opinion, the hung jury, he may not have much recourse. If he has a hung jury and they don't retry, he could file some ethics complaints. Somebody could complain about the judge, but it's New York. They don't care. I think they endorse this type of behavior. Sheila P says, Judge Mercon is so crooked, he makes my head explode. How could anyone not see through this BS? I think they're just so TDS'd out that as long as Trump is the victim, they're okay wrecking the justice system. It's a weird, almost, self-destructive tendency. You hate somebody so much that they can co-opt your thinking into wrecking the justice system in the name of taking out your political opponent. And there are Democrats all over this country who are doing cartwheels over this. This is justice. Okay. Do you realize what you're doing to our country? DJ, what's up? Hi, Rob. Did you hear that Nikki is going to the RNC in Milwaukee to cause problems for Trump? No, I did not hear that. Nikki Haley, that's interesting. Remember that what came out in this testimony during this trial is that after the Access Hollywood tape came out, Hope Hicks and others, I think Madeline Westerhout and others, were saying that the RNC was contemplating getting rid of Trump after the Access Hollywood tape at the convention. So if they can get him with a felony conviction in this trial, you think Nikki Haley's going to show up and say, I'm going to support Trump? Or do you think Nikki Haley's going to show up and argue that maybe she'll be a better candidate than a convicted felon? Feels like that's been the plan for a long time. What's up, Andres? What's up? Says Rumble for life, baby. Stop giving the money to the tubes. Come on over to Rumble, and Andres is over there. We love our Rumble friends, man. We got a nice group over there. What's up, Snaggletooth? Dan's over there. Jeffrey's over here. Shayeen is over there. Good to see everybody on the Rumble tubes. We got Debbie G. Hey, 9 months as a member, Debbie G. Says, hey, Rob. It's been 9 months. Do you think Judge Juan Mercan de Sade would let me sue you for child support? Probably. All you'd have to do is play him a couple of clips of this show, calling him, Judge Juan the Con Mercan, ragging on his corrupt Democrat judge, the daughter who supports people like Joe Biden and is fundraising for people like Adam Schiff on the back of this trial. He probably wouldn't be happy with me. So, yeah, he'd probably allow you to sue. So, fortunately, I don't know that I have. Could you get diversity jurisdiction? I'd have to reflect on my civil procedure. I don't know. We've got what's up? Funny comment, Debbie. Thank you for that. Looking forward to the lawsuit. Should be fun. Have some good content. Hey, 9 months. We got multiple babies. Rob, we had twins. I've been here forever. Good to see you, Mama Rocks. Good to have so many new babies in the house. Little rascals running all over the place. Good to have you, Mama Rocks. We got Weirdos here who became a supporter. Welcome aboard, Weirdo. We'll see you on the member-only streams. NY on Local says, Rob, tell me if I'm wrong. Even right before the jury decision is read, if he sees a full acquittal, he can declare a mistrial so the prosecution can get another bite at the apple. Yeah, I think that he could declare a mistrial. The judge could find some reason to declare a mistrial. And the defense, I think, would consider that a win. Not necessarily, a full acquittal is a big win, but anything that's not a conviction, especially in a case that has been this rigged, is a big one. So what's up? Thank you for that, NY. Hey, voice of the people's in the house. Says, okay, so Rob is a dangerous man, making babies across the world with both men and women across the internet. It's really impressive. You have exponentially more kids now than any person in history. Is that true? I think Genghis Khan has like 10,000, no? I think I got some work to do on Genghis Khan. He's definitely far ahead, at least on the real, on the physical children. But our goal is to supersede Genghis Khan in babies on this channel. And I'm not even joking. Okay. So thanks for being a member. Thank you, voice. What's up? Hey, Zulu's in the house. Zulu, very generous. What a nice welcome back gift, Zulu. Very generous of you. And we're appreciative of it. Hey, look at this. 50 more from Zulu. Zulu, good to have you back. We got J Dubs is here. Vilju Shada Paretti's here. Craig C. Nummy Q. Sean's here. Chris S. What's up, Kenny S.? Chris S. is coming in as well. DY Sabers here. Thos A. We got John E. Mr. Twister. The Deplorable got a gift. Thomas. Anacism. Stephen E. CVG. We got more coming in. Lala J. Lisa D. Pete S. Pitch L. Mia J. Pinochet's Helicopter Tours is coming in. We got American Philosophies here. Paul, last name here. Welcome. Mark L, BNM, Amber LMT, Renee A, Bugsy. We got SCVM saying what's up. 2Tim3, Ranulph, Bethany, Christina, Alistar Birch, what's up. Randall C, Eagle 80, James McGuire, Matt H, Kevin M, Joey L, Laura S. We have Scott's in the house, Steph Ard, and even more. Grifty's here. Quarrelright, Melissa A, Vagabard. We got Richard R and Toodly Pip in the house, courtesy of our friend Zulu. Zulu, good to have you. Thanks again for the very generous dono. We got so many more membos today. Our members only stream tomorrow in the morning is gonna be lit. What's up? Little Rock says, I am AZ inactive and Arkansas active attorney. Great show. Hey, Little Rock, thanks for that. So a fellow attorney in the house. Good to see you. AZ and active. Well, and you're practicing in Arkansas. Great to see you. Little Rock. Hey, there's a name. Membo for 2 months. First month's the hardest. Good to see you back. Thanks, Little Rock, for being here. We got DJ says, Rob, oh yeah, Milwaukee, we have that one. Michelle P says, Rob, since Judge Mershon has not made the prosecution state a clear crime that can be defended, can the defense get an emergency hearing to a higher court to ensure the defendant's constitutional rights? No, they've tried that. So before this trial started, there were multiple attempts to appeal this. And the general rule is you appeal after the conclusion of a criminal case. You don't have these interlocutory appeals in the middle. So the judge thinks that he's doing everything right. We'll get through it. We'll have the jury decision. And then from there, you can start your remedy. Now, in other cases, we have had pauses. So you might be saying, well, Rob, that doesn't make any sense because in Judge Chutkin's case, for example, we're going right through it and then we paused, right? Everything got stopped. Well, that's because we brought in immunity, and immunity is such a defense that it basically immunizes you against the process, which is even the trial and the prosecution, generally speaking. Now, Merchan has been saying that immunity does not apply here because none of this was within the outer perimeter, was presidential duties at all. So that's why we're where we're at. Now, he can after the trial's over, but nothing's going to pause this right now. And of course, if he appeals it and reverses it, then that would be a big victory for them. But that may happen after the election. They just want to get this past the post. NY says, anybody dreaming of the Lincoln Project, if Nikki Haley's on the team, it would hasten the end of the Republican Party. It would hasten the coming of a civil war. Crashes here says, I need a ray of sunshine after this Juan and Bragg debacle. Amelia is 7 weeks old. Daughter-in-law sent this pic of dad and daughter during a Sunday stream, and she is intently watching dad's gameplay. And so that is a great image. We'll save that over Crash for the after party. Voice of the People, what's up? Says, touche, very good to see you. And Word says, I posted this a minute ago. Says, look, I get that Merchan is totally unhinged, but it would have been nice to see Scott McAfee show even a fraction of the expectation of respect in his courtroom that Merchan did. Maybe somebody could siphon off some from Merchan and give it to McAfee. Yeah, but Merchan was only doing that because the witness was bad to them. So, like, he let Stormy Daniels get into whatever she wanted. He let Michael Cohen get away with whatever he wanted. He was only ordering decorum out of Costello. The rest of them could talk about whatever. But I guess you could say the same thing of McAfee. McAfee just let everything as a kangaroo, court. But there were no witnesses that were there in favor of Trump. It was really just a disqualification hearing. But I get your point. I mean, honestly, it's both situations are absolutely maddening. We should expect much more out of our justice system. What's up? Andre says, much love to you all. Right back at you, Andres. Shout out to Rumble. Says, hope you all have a great day. And right back over on you, Andres. Boopsy on Local says, Rob, why didn't the defense focus on proving Trump is innocent? Well, they don't have to do that, first of all. So the presumption of innocence, he's already innocent right now. Technically, like when the jury goes in there, they're going to say, you're innocent now. So he doesn't have to prove his innocence because he is innocent legally. Now they have to overcome, the burden of proof, which is beyond reasonable doubt, which is a very high standard, to take away that innocence. So you could say Trump could present a case, like they could have pulled Trump up on the stand and he could have said, I am innocent, right? And they could have presented a bunch of evidence, but then they would have, I think, used that against him, and he doesn't have that burden. Our system, fortunately, is not one where you have to prove your innocence. You don't have to do it. He's innocent right now. But it's a great question, and I appreciate understanding the complexity of how it works philosophically. Now, practically, it doesn't really work this way. Okay, when your DUI defendant comes into a jury trial, everyone thinks he's guilty. You say, he's technically got the presumption of innocence. They say, yeah, whatever. They think he's guilty. So, in some situations, not generally in DUI cases because of the nature of the charge, but in some cases, you do believe that you need to focus on proving your innocence, which is what happened, for example, in the Kyle Rittenhouse case where he took the stand. And that was just a judgment call based on the jury and the location and the attorney thinking that that was appropriate. NY says, I would prefer to wait until the Supreme Court waits until July 4th to drop their decision on presidential immunity. They could drop it over Memorial Day weekend, spank Merchan with an all-inclusive immunity ruling. I would fear such a ruling from a future tyrant. However, we still have the impeachment. They can still do it, especially since there was such a display of inappropriate judicial temperament, and to cool the cauldron of unrest an unfair conviction would bring. Good to see you, NY. We got this one, 20 new membos. Oh my goodness, man. Look at all these membos. Viva MAGA, bringing in 20 more. People like Dark Snyder are here. Puppet 2 is coming in. Bradford, Home Office is here. Chetty Mo, E.T., Felix S., Mars Soul, Short Bus, Terror Squad, wow. Tony R., Nancy McShane, Super Trump 2024 is here. Philip C., Tamala. What's up, Stephanie P.? K.A. is coming in. Death Devastation, C.K. Timmy. We got Cynthia C., Enigma, and others coming in the house. Very grateful to our friend for inviting all these people. Viva MAGA, 20 new membos in the house. Thank you, Viva. We got this one from Cornelius Knuckle. Says, in a ridiculous case like this, if the verdict comes back as unanimously guilty, could the lawyers in the jury be gone for ethics violations? No, I don't think so. I think they would be able to come to their conclusion. I think, honestly, the bar would say, great job doing your work, or doing your duty. You know, being on a jury, great job. I don't think that they would interpret it as like they have some duty to report an ongoing crime or something. They would just say, no, it's the process. Everything was fine. If Trump has a problem with it, he can appeal it. But I like where your head's at. What's up, Debbie G? Can the judge, quote, set aside the jury verdict if the jury finds Trump not guilty? No. No. And have it redo it again? No. If you're acquitted, that's the game. You're done. So you don't get a do-over at that. And that's what they're working on right now. Now, the judge could take it away from the government. The judge could say there's a directed verdict, probable cause, that there's the elements of the offense have not been met such that the jury could find him guilty. It's called a directed verdict. We're thinking a lot of civil terms like judgment notwithstanding the verdict, where the judge takes it away. Okay, no reasonable jury could find this. But if you hand it off to the jury and they acquit you, now we have a double jeopardy problem, right? You can't be tried again when you were already acquitted for an offense. So thankfully our founders included that. Hey, what's up on Rumble? We got eDog81 says, this is absolutely disgusting. I'm a truck driver and I don't get emotional, but Representative Salazar had me choking back tears. That was good, wasn't it? This trial is much more important than a lot of us think, regardless of feelings. I completely agree, eDog. What we're witnessing here is the end of normal justice in America. And we have a whole political party in this country spending millions of dollars in support of that. It's a strange time. It reminds me of COVID. It reminds me of these same maniacs who were saying, we have to lock down the country to save everything. You know what you're doing to the country? Here we are. We have to stop Russia to save democracy. Same thing. We have to stop Trump. And there's all these unintended consequences. They have no idea what they're doing. So just like everything else that they touch turns to absolute crap, what they're doing to our justice system is the same thing. There will be repercussions for this for a long time. Richard V, what's up? How can a witness swear to, quote, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth if the lawyers and the judges decide what they are allowed to say? Yeah, it's a great question. And the way we kind of balance this out is I think you're probably talking about that part of the testimony today where Susan Hoffinger was basically cutting off Robert Costello. Shut your mouth. I don't want your answer. She's going to say, well, he'll just clean that up on the redirect. So he'll be able to tell his full story when the government is done and the defense comes back out. But you're right about it. When the judge is limiting who can come in and what you can say, and you can only testify to this little sliver of the truth. It's not the whole truth at all. It's what the government and the judge allows you to hear. What's up? Bradford in the house says, thank you to Viva MAGA. Great to see you, Bradford, and Viva MAGA for bringing in the membos. So many new membos today, my friends. Really grateful to have you all. Of course, we do members-only streams in the morning and on Saturdays, and so we're excited to see you when we do those. We'll see you in the morning. What time are our streams? Noon Eastern time is when they are. Now, let's see who's joining us on X before we go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Do we have any good comments over here? Of course we do. What's up? Fred says, I know I say this all the time, but judges cannot have so much unbridled power. You ask them to recuse themselves? Something has to be done about this. Chat says, Mercan ejected the press. Says, I seem to smell the stench of desperation in the air. Flash Rivers talking about Garland working on toppling Trump. Garland writes, we're coming, and DeSantis responds, thanks for the heads up. Wow, DeSantis had a heads up about the Trump raid? Is that the implication there? Woo. What's up? Christina says, what is President Trump charged with? This show trial is actually for some other purpose. Great show. Thank you, Christina. Daniel D says, we need every courtroom equipped to be for live streaming. We got some kiddies in the house. Crypto's watching from Texas. What's up, Kiddy-O? Andrew says, you need to include judges in the intro, Rob. Yeah, it just ruins the alliteration. Police, prosecutors, politicians, and judges. But you're right. They also need monitoring. Raven Madness, very similar to when they clear the press after Biden speaks. Shakes is in the house. Says, how in the HE double hockey sticks would you defend the judge, Rob? I don't think I would. Love says, now you know what fascism really looks like. We're all getting a front row seat to it. And so great comments from our friends on X. We, of course, like to plug X so you can follow us over there. And more importantly, follow other watchers out there in the wild so we can stay connected as we go through these wild times. But that, my friends, is going to be it for us on the day. Reminder, you can check out robertgovea.com to get our PDFs, our show reports, our merch stores there, our show calendars there. And our schedule will probably be a little bit different Thursday, Friday, because I have Genius Network this week. So I'm looking forward to that. We got watcherlodge.com, which is our sovereignty and self-development community. We're back in the house on Saturday with our lodge events. So come join us. And if you want to join us in Vegas in just over a month from today, you can RSVP if you're serious about coming at watcherlodge.com. And I'm going to be buttoning up the details on that very soon. So, my friends, that is it for us on the day. Before we wrap it up, want to thank our amazing mods and our meme smiths who keep things nice and orderly on the day. Before we do, we got B-Man is here. Says Norm Eisen was at court today. Norm Eisen, who is a mega lefty legal commentator. He was over there. That's fun. We also have this old guy says, Rob, MWE was a reference to McDermott, Will, and Emery. Ah, great tip on that. Cohen's other lawyers. Ah, MWE. Great filling in the gaps on that one for us, this old guy. Great fill-in. Hey, this is a great quote from the Rubos. You know them at rubossaltshop.com. They say, this is a great quote from Rush Limbaugh. May he rest in peace. We love El Rushbo, EIB Network, Maha Rushi, America's real anchorman, doctor of democracy. Right 98.9% of the time. Liberals attempt through judicial activism what they cannot win at the ballot box. From Rush. Rest in peace, Rush. We miss you. America was better when you were at the helm. What's up? NY says, until the judge reads the jury verdict, anything is in play. If he opens the paper, sees the verdict of acquittal, at that point he can declare a mistrial. Well, that would be pretty bold. The jury decision is invalid because he's not read it into the record. It's happened before. Our system assumes judges are fair and not biased. When it involves biased courts, the rulings are losing respect. Without respect of the system, it's just like a Democratic Party meeting. Yeah, it certainly seems like that. Lady Ice, oh no, oh no. All right, prayers in store, my friend, for our friend Lady Ice. Prayers needed for my dad, please. In the ER, they're going to admit him. Was confused, low blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, running tests, keeping him for at least a day. We're sending loving prayers and good healing energy to Lady Ice, the Lady Ice household, praying for her father and a very speedy recovery. He'll be under great care from our friends at the hospital in the emergency room. He will recover quickly and be home in no time. Prayers for Lady Ice and the father of the Lady Ice household coming your way. All right, we've got, my friends, our mods. We got to say thank you to our amazing mods in the house. K-Bean is out there along with Just Cause, Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, Zach Nichols, Jan X in the house, Dog Digger. We got Economy Pilot, Donut Mind Me, Carrie B's in the house, and I think we got Zulu back in the house as well. Great to see Zulu in the chat again. We got our Meme Smith, Sleepy Dog Lee, Nathan N810 in the house, our friend Gigum Gigum, Glocky McGlock, and our Doc Master Elliot modding the fort down for us, keeping things nice and orderly. And one final loving prayer from our friend Knox. Prayers for your dad, Lady Ice. And indeed, we pray. All right, my friends. Now that is it for us on the day. We covered some good ground today. We're coming back tomorrow. We're not going to have trial in session, but that's okay because we've got some Florida documents to review. And it looks like apparently the feds were going in there guns blazing, hoping that maybe they could cause a ruckus, cause a scene there at Mar-a-Lago. And the documents are shocking. Julie Kelly's been reporting on it. We're going to pull those documents and be ready to go on that one tomorrow. And it's going to be a doozy because the corruption never ends, my friends. And we're going to be back here to get into it. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.